Right, so we're back on Swanage again. Time to turn my attention towards the station section, I believe. Get the final bit of lighting equipment in. And another little project that I'm working on is this ice cream van. So this is where it's going to sit. I've already cut one of the windows out on this side, so that bit is now missing. I'm going to fit a person inside it and fit a little light in the ceiling, and that will sit about here. Underneath it I'll cut a hole in the card and I'll be mounting a speaker underneath it, so we'll have occasional musical chimes and other sound effects like the engine going. Should be an interesting project because it'll also involve another sound file. For the station canopy, this is the only bit of the station that is now not lit, as we've got lighting going around here. Going to be checking to see if there's any lights actually fitted to these bits of the platform. Think there might be, so I might have to require some more lamps to do that, so they match the ones that we've got down here. Another bit I'm going to be adding are these, or one of these, just a gauge master lit clock that'll be hanging from the canopy. Also got a pack of ceiling lights that hang down. We'll be fitting those into the canopy somehow. I'm still trying to determine that. Once I figure it out, everyone will finally sit, and so we no longer have to remove this bit in transit, because this bit comes away. It's just a small section. It's not fixed down or anything, so it'd be nice to get that properly mounted. So when I do that, I might get that bit behind done, which will neaten up the end of the platform. So this is the section this video is going to be focused on. So now that things are starting to calm down, I'm going to be able to work on this more. So let's get into it. Right, so for this lighting project that I'm doing in the canopy, this section has already been done, as I was experimenting with how to do it. So if we take this bit out, I haven't fully wired it into the layout yet. So through the top here we can see this bar running along the centre, and attached to that are the lights, which I will show you one of later. So that bar is actually a brass rod, and I am soldering these lights positive track to them. If you wonder about what I'm doing with the negative, well, there's another rod running along the back of this side, and the negative wire is coming on and connecting to that track instead. Then we've obviously got the cable coming from the negative rod there. Got our red one here, which is also partially coated in black paint, going down that side straight off the centre rod. This one had a little extender bit added in to extend off the end one, but that's because I wanted to go end to end of this section, because it would look neater than just ending at the last light, which is what I'll be doing with the next one. Because the next one has another 3 lights and a clock. If I just put that in there, refocus the camera. here we have an extra set of rods, or tubes I should say. They're not the biggest diameter tube, you can see all the measurements there, but I get 3 in this pack. I'm likely to only use 2 of them, which gives me 1 spare for something in the future. These were the rods originally meant for the traffic lights down on the road at the end, but they were too narrow. So they ended up getting used in this project. And I thought I could do with some more of those. Let's get some more. Got them off of eBay if anyone's interested. So yeah, let's get this one, which I've already disconnected from the building. It's just sitting there leaning against it. So if we ain't got a camera, we can look at this one, and we actually want some of these brass rods now. So okay, so we've got our brass rods, or tubes. I keep calling them rods because of the size of them. Just lost that one down behind the canopy. So one is going to sit up against this beam, and that will take all the negative wires from the 3 lights and the clock, which I've put over here. So here's our little clock. So I'll be fitting that onto there, obviously the other way up. Still got to work out how I'm attaching that, but I know it's going to be onto that beam somehow. Then I've just got to link that onto the 2 rods. I'll have one light here, one light here, and there. I know where they're going because it's in between these poles, and they sit at the highest peak, which is why I'm using these bars, because it gives me something solid the whole way along, which means no messing around with copper tape, no wires going to each individual light. It's just a way that I can neaten it all up. So yeah, first thing I'm going to have to do is mark up on one of these rods where I need to fit the lights. So this one I need to put a mark there. I need a mark down at the end for the clock, one in the mid, that one, and one for the end of there. That's pretty much going to be identical for this one. So right, so that's going to be sanded down a little bit. So get our sandpaper, just sand the end down. Just gets the coating off enough for us to get a clean solder to it. I'll do that for both ends and each of these marks that I've added, and then I'll be adding solder to each of these marks. So that's both ends of it that needs to be done. I'm going to cut to after I've done the soldering and the painting. So next time you see these bars, they'll be coated in black, which makes them a bit more discreet when they're fitted to the layout. Right, so we're back on my workbench again. Now that I've got these rods or tubes painted, I've reheated the solder to make the solder points visible again. So just get these in place and attached. Starting with the negative one, I feel. Right, and now with this rod, I have to do a bit more feeding through to get it into position. Right, as mentioned earlier about my lights, this is what I'm working with. So I've directly soldered the resistor for each light onto the light itself. So I get that little bit sticking at the end. That's what we'll be connecting to this rod at that point, and that point. And then we've got our negative cable that will connect to the other rod at the various points. We've also got our clock, which will be mounted around here. That will connect to the end of this rod and the end of that rod. I'll have to go and find its resistor, and then I'll be able to connect that on as well. So gonna let that glue dry, and then we'll come back and start installing the lights onto this rod. I'll be using my little helper tool to hold it, because I don't want it sitting on the plastic windows when I start soldering to it, as I'll melt that and destroy it. So we'll come back once that has had enough time to dry, and I'm able to safely work on that one without upsetting that one. Right, so this one's now almost set. I've also got the clock gluing in. I've got one of my test leads currently using its crocodile clip to hold onto it. I've got the positive pipe rod being held by my helping hand thing. So it is completely separate from the canopy itself, as I do not want to run the risk melting any of the canopy on purpose or by accident. So I've got to install the lights here, here and here. I've got a solder point here, which is for my positive track wire going to here. I've got a solder point on the end, which will connect to this. I've already added the resistor for the clock to the end of this bar by threading it into the pipe. So let's get to adding some of these lights. Right, so with all the negatives now connected, I've also got the clock connected. That was extremely fiddly. Now I'm starting to take these little bits off that were holding the cables in place. So that should now be everything wired. Right, with that all said and done, I think it's time we test the lighting rig. Slightly darken the room. I'm going to be using a trusty 9-volt battery, as I always tend to do low power testing. So negative to negative, positive to positive. Let's see how these work. Obviously 2 are more under the camera than the third, so we're going to be a bit on the brighter side. But we've got the clock lighting up. And all 3 lights. And that's just being powered by these 2 rods going all the way through the canopy. Next step is to prep the station itself for these to go on. I'm missing the connection there a little bit. And once these cables go through the platform, they will anchor down the canopies. Look forward to seeing how these come along. But I've got other bits of the project that I need to do before these get permanently mounted onto the layout. So I'll get straight onto those and we'll get these mounted in due time. Right, so this canopy is now fixed in place, so it's not moving. It's attached to the other one, that ain't moving. The building won't come out again, as I've got the canopy attached to it. So the other thing is, the lights are now also fully wired in. And working. In the previous clips you saw me running this retaining wall. I still got a few more bits to do to this wall, whereas that ain't done yet. So we're going to get the lights on and show you around the canopy. In order to install the wiring for the platform, I drilled a hole through the platform and the baseboard, and then I inserted a brass rod, just like what I did along the top of the canopies, but this one was the size of the traffic lights, which was slightly wider in diameter, which meant I could get a cable through the middle of it quite easily. So that acts like a tube which the cable goes down, stops it getting out of alignment between the platform and the baseboards if you're trying to feed it through. So to avoid that hassle, I did it that way instead. So if we just go for a little walk, go down the canopy. So here you can see what I was talking about. Little brass tube just poking above the platform there, that wire feeds into, and then we've got another one here, and then the other two are here and here. Also now have the ice cream van installed. We've got a little guy inside it, got a little internal light as well. That took me a little bit of time to get sorted out. I haven't got that one capable of being lit up, so Zoom's messing up, as I'm still waiting on parts to get that sorted out, but that should be drying now, I reckon. I'm not going to touch it because I think it might still be wet. So in the canopy, we've got our lights, we've got the little clock hanging from the canopy as well. If any of you are on the Facebook page, you'd know about the little plaque that I installed there above the doors, and I'm just replicating what the actual Swanage Railway did. I have also put a few posters onto the walls as a start. There will be more added along the rest of the building in due time. I've just got to get the pictures of them so I can then try and install them under the canopy. But from above the canopy, the lights do look pretty good. Wiring is pretty much not an issue. So let's get the platform lighting turned on. This will also enable all my street lights as well. Downside to using LEDs is they're more of a focused light, unlike the bulbs which are further down the platform, which are more spread. But every single light has come on, including the buffer beams, the street lights and traffic lights. I, for one, feel that this canopy lighting project has come out pretty well. As you can see, clock is also lit. Small detail, I really feel like adding it. If I throw a switch under the boards, we get the police car working again. So all the lights are working, which is good considering our next show is in, well, next week, so only a few days away. Hoping to finish the ice cream van off by then, because all I've got to do is hook up another sound decoder to that, because we've got a special little project going on for that one, which is not quite ready yet. Hoping it will be soon. And when it's done, it'll be put into a vid. So pretty much all go, as our next show is Ramsgate Tunnels, and that should be a pretty good show. So thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.